Man, it's good to see you. How you feeling today?
I'm well,
Good, man.
staying busy. I think I work more now than I did when I was coming to the office.
I think you're probably right because at home you have nowhere else to go. You
Yeah,
know, there's no like real intertwining with everybody. You just sit down and you do a ton of work.
yeah. I
No
have to
interruptions.
remind myself to take breaks.
Yeah.
Get up and walk around, or else at the end of the day, I'm stiff, hard to
Yeah.
stand up. Where at the office, I'm always walking around, up and down the stairs, in and out people's offices, back and forth to the coffee pot 20 times a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
But how long's it been now? 2 weeks?
Hmm.
A little over 2 weeks?
Yes.
Wow.
It's crazy, dude.
And I don't know if this is fake news or not, but I saw something a while ago that said New York City said they were going to reopen their courts on Monday, not for new filings, but to take care of pending stuff. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're dealing with that kind of populace, though, I mean, something's got to give. Stuff has to move. I don't know.
That's true, but Travis County is doing a really good job, Austin, Texas, uh, using Zoom and other kinds of ways to remotely connect. Uh, McLennan County is starting to catch up, uh, doing more Zoom hearings and pleas by Zoom. I watched part of a court hearing today on Zoom, live out of Travis County, where the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association is suing Governor Abbott and Ken Paxton to try to set aside some of the suspension of civil rights that they've put in place,
Whoa. Whoa.
especially when it comes to suspending portions of the Code of Criminal Procedure, statutes that were adopted by a legislative body. And now you have an executive body just totally suspending it. Uh,
Like, give me some examples.
Habeas corpus,
Oh.
right to PR bonds,
Yeah.
because when some of these district judges just started letting people out of jail because the state wasn't ready for trial, they weren't ready for a plea, they were just sitting there awaiting their day in court, and then that virus started hitting jails, so the judges started letting them out on personal recognizance bonds.
Right.
Well, Greg Abbott issued an executive order saying, can't do that. They got to stay in jail. I don't get that kind of thinking, especially in a country where our Constitution says that we are presumed innocent until proven guilty,
Yeah.
yet they could possibly be giving you a death sentence by keeping you locked up, especially when you're locked up for something that's not even a violent crime.
Right.
I
And
mean,
you and
they've
I,
got, go ahead.
oh, I was saying, you and I both know what kind of health care inmates get in jail, these private jails. It is so poor. I mean, how many calls or letters do we get from inmates? Well, mostly letters. We don't get any calls saying, they're sick or dying, and these jails will not treat them. It's
For years,
crazy.
for years, ever since we went to the private system,
Hmm.
those private systems are there for profit, and they want to make a profit. And the way you make a profit is you charge as much as you can and you spend as little as you can.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And they're giving substandard care to people that our government is supposed to be taking care of, that our government is controlled by the Constitution and by all these laws. Yet we have these private for profit businesses treating people like they're animals,
Hmm.
you know? They're getting them down to the minimum amount of square feet that they can get away with, the minimum amount of medical care they can get away with, the minimum amount of nutrition that they can get away with, all to line their pockets. And
Crazy.
you know, Jonathan, that's not going in my pocket.
Right.
That's not going in your pocket.
Right.
That's going in some of these bigwigs' pockets. These people that are sitting with their feet up on their yachts laughing about what a hard time everybody else is having.
Yeah.
Owners of insurance companies,
Yeah.
corporate owners of nursing homes. We've seen where quality neighborhood nursing homes have been bought up by conglomerates
Oh
and
yeah.
then just stripped of all their assets, stripped of their staff, operating on a shoestring and giving minimal care at top dollar.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's
When it
just
comes
not
to
right.
right, when it comes to nursing home cases, Vic, we get calls every single week, every week about parent or people calling for their relatives who are in nursing homes who are being dropped. I mean, the care, bed sores being left to fester to where there's maggots on them. Remember, we've gotten calls like that.
Oh,
I
we've
mean,
tried
it's
cases like
crazy.
that. And it's very sad because we can only handle maybe 1 out of 100 that we get called on because the laws have changed so much.
True.
People like Greg Abbott have made it impossible to sue these big conglomerates and to make it worthwhile. The playing field is so slanted in favor of these corporations that own our healthcare systems, that
Hmm.
the big insurance companies. It's so slanted in their favor that the little guy doesn't hardly have a chance anymore.
Would
The
you
only
want to?
way that we're ever going to get a chance is to quit electing these people that
Yeah,
don't care about you. We need to quit talking about Democrat and Republican and start talking about consumer versus corporation. Whose interest do you have in mind? The
yeah,
little guy, the consumer, or the big conglomerate? It's not about Republican, Democrat. All that is just a smokescreen. That's just to keep us hating each
it's
other,
true.
keep us fighting with each other so that we don't realize they're picking our pockets all the time, keeping us in a form of slavery all the time. You know, it used to be that the slaves were captured in a foreign country and brought here by force. And then we went from slavery to sharecroppers. And then we went from that to the uh, long, long shifts in the coal mines and in the factories and child labor and all that. And finally, it looks like after World War II, the average guy was going to get a fair shake, you know? But then the big conglomerations started taking over, the big
Yeah,
corporations. Now we're all becoming slaves to those pieces of plastic that we carry in our pocket that charge 18% interest, while the bank is getting money from the Federal Reserve right now and paying 0%.
I
But
know.
you're still paying 18, 20, 21%. And that's if you pay on time. What
Right.
if you miss a payment?
32%, 40%. What is it? It's madness.
It's crazy.
It's
It's
madness.
crazy. It should be illegal. And it's because we don't have people representing the consumers.
I
Forget
agree.
about Republican. Forget about Democrat. Let's talk about consumers. Are you in favor of helping the working guy? Are
Right.
you in favor of helping the consumer? You know, and that's what we need, whether it's a Democrat or it's a Republican. And if they get in there and they start taking money from lobbyists, get rid of them.
Get rid of them
Get rid of them.
immediately.
They vote against your interest, get rid of them
Yeah.
immediately. And keep churning it until you get people in there who are going to represent we the people.
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
I miss you, Jonathan. I miss our people. I miss getting to see everyone.
It's just weird, Vic. It's yeah, I miss human contact.
I do. You know, and it's probably better for us than it is for a lot of people out there because we start every morning with our video staff meeting.
Yeah.
I get to
Smiling
see all of
faces.
your smiling faces, you know. And so we start off the day, we set our assignments and we have work to do. I can't imagine if I were in some inner city apartment with people
Oh,
sleeping in the halls, sitting in the halls, smoking cigarettes, barking dogs, crowded, worried about where the next meal was going to come from. And my heart goes out to everybody out there that's suffering right now.
Right.
And we are suffering as a country, as a world, in such a way that we're not going to even realize the damage that this has caused for a good while.
Right.
It may be creating damages that we will not see reversed. God, I hate to say this, Jonathan, but for 10, 20, 30 years, maybe.
Agreed. But it will give birth to new ideas, new industries, new ways of doing things, though. And I think that's the focus we should have right now, is the fact that, this has really exposed a massive deficit, not deficit, but a massive hole in how our infrastructure is set up. And what I'd love to see is a lot of the industry that was in China, for example, move it back to other places that are closer to home. What we noticed was all these manufacturing eggs run one basket. When that basket dropped, this is what we have. I mean, we have massive supply shortages that could have easily been solved by moving industry, obviously, back to the U.S., to Mexico, places that could really use the industry. They have the manpower to really fuel it.
That's true. That's true. And I hope that not only just problems with our infrastructure, but change the way we live.
Yeah.
One of our podcasts a few months ago, I remember we were joking around and I said, my slogan is just don't do it.
Yeah.
I stole Nike's do it. Mine was don't do it. Stay home. Don't do it. You don't have to get your ticket punched. You don't have to go to that vacation place every year. You don't have to go to that expensive ball game. You don't need to pay that kind of money for a concert where the band's not even getting the money, or
Yeah.
they're being ripped off by middlemen, and then you're having to pay all these huge prices. Just don't do it. We just need to have a common citizen strike and just quit giving in to those big corporate interests that are picking our pockets all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh yeah. For
Stay
for
home.
$8 a month, Vic, you can have this service, or for $9 a month, you can have this. It's
Hmm.
it's, it's madness.
Yeah. Or then if the Rolling Stones come to town, oh my God, every ticket is gone, and you're going to be paying maybe thousands of dollars for a
Oh yeah.
decent seat. And
Oh
it's that
yeah.
way for sporting events, it's that way for everything. Learn to enjoy your own home. Learn to enjoy your own backyard. Learn to enjoy your own family. And we do so much that we don't need to do. Kids are under so much stress today.
Yeah. I would hate
My
to be
wife
a child
teaches
today.
at Baylor. She teaches yoga at Baylor. Well, now she's doing it online because they had to suspend all the classes. But she talks to me sometimes about the stress these young people are under, and worried about their future. And we've been brought up that everybody has to do so much. You
Oh
got to have
yeah.
the highest grades. You got to have all these extracurricular activities. You got parents driving the daughters over here, driving the sons over there, every night for something, every night, every night. Well, just don't do it. Learn to stay home. Read a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Turn off that damn TV.
Turn
Just
off the
read a
turn
book.
off the Facebook and the Instagram and all that while you're at it.
Hmm.
Get rid of that.
Get rid of it
Get
for
rid
a
of it.
while. Do something spiritual.
There you go.
Do something intellectual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remove your sociopathic tendencies.
exactly. Exactly. There's a verse in the Bible, be still and know that
Yeah.
I am God.
Yeah.
Most of us don't know how to be still anymore.
No, not anymore, Vic.
Mm-mm.
Especially with I read a statistic that said there's so many people on antidepressants now they can no longer calculate how many people are on antidepressants. But that's the brain's in overload. Everybody needs to just mellow out. And I hope, like what you said, Vic, that this is a time when we can all recognize that, because we're being forced into it.
Hmm. There's so many people on antidepressants now that it's showing up in some municipal water supplies.
That's I
Just,
don't I don't want to be drinking people's
you
antidepressants.
know, I don't either. Don't dump your pills down the toilet. Don't do that. Put them in the trash. Throw them away. Do something with them. Take them out of the bottle. Throw them away. But don't put them in the water. All that water gets recycled. Don't do that. Yeah. Hey, Jonathan.
Yep.
I was on Channel 10 with Paul Gately back on February 25th. about that cold case murder. Who killed Lily Heffley? I'm
Where we
looking
at?
at the newspaper article on that was on the Google machine.
There we go.
February 25th, they've got the cigar. A cigar was snuffed out on this girl's dead body 40 years ago. They've got the cigar. Why aren't they running DNA? Her body was found in Fort Worth. What's Fort Worth doing? McLennan County, they're kind of washing their hands. They're going like, well, the body was found in Fort Worth. We don't know if she was killed in McLennan County. We don't know if we have jurisdiction.
Right.
People, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. They have jurisdiction to investigate this case. They may not have jurisdiction to try this case, but there is jurisdiction to investigate this case, and then you pass it off to the county that's got jurisdiction to try it.
I like it.
So, what is going on here? Why do we not have DNA results on that cigar that they've been sitting on for years and years? We got our sheriff saying, well, I don't think it happened here. We got Captain January, I can't tell what he's saying. Does he say he thinks it happened here or it didn't happen here? But regardless, where are the results? Why isn't somebody getting arrested on this murder when it would be so easy to solve?
Yeah.
So, 40-year-old murder. Paul Gately did a news story on February the 25th. Here we are halfway into April now, and it's not a word. And none of the letters that Paul Gately wrote to any of the law enforcement officers asking for information on this, none of them have been answered with any
Wow.
substance. None of them. Every single one says, oh, I don't think we can tell you. This is an ongoing case. We can't tell you anything. We're referring this to the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's a cop out.
I
Hey, a
know.
cop. Cop copped out.
Our Attorney General is really not somebody to be proud of right now. He's taken some really odd positions, and he doesn't really care about the little guy, although he's really good at convincing the little guy that he does care. Talk about a pandemic. There's a
Yeah.
pandemic going on right now of people thinking that their government cares about them.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yes, for sure.
Worldwide, they don't. We need to rethink our whole system worldwide and get some laws in, raise our consciousness so that people like me and you, like pizza delivery guys, like people that work in restaurants, people who don't have a job anymore so that they can get their lives back together,
Yeah.
keep things on an even keel. And spend our money getting ready for stuff like this instead of fighting political wars all the time. Useless wars where allegiances and alliances are constantly shifting and changing. 50 years from now, we won't remember who we were fighting. We'll be on
Yeah.
somebody else, and the people we're fighting now be our friends. It's all about the money. It's all about these big businesses controlling the population and keeping the money for themselves.
Yeah, that's what we see. That's for sure.
So, Lily Heffley. When's something going to be done on Lily Heffley? And people go online, find the Lily Heffley petition. It's HEFELE, and sign it, asking that this cigar be tested for the DNA so
Yes.
they can arrest the people that committed this heinous murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, and
crazy.
there are witnesses to be talked to. Her daughters are still alive. They still remember facts about this. They still remember her mother's $300,000 life insurance policy.
God.
Got that money because it wasn't her rightful heirs that got that money. It wasn't her daughters. Who got that money? Follow the money. When was that policy taken out, and who smokes that brand of cigar? Come on, guys. Get this thing solved. This is a sin of omission not to solve this murder. All right,
Crazy.
so Lily Heffley. Also last week, we mentioned something about judges plead guilty in scheme to jail youths for
Cash for kids.
Cash for kids. Locking up little teenagers, a lot of them their first time ever in trouble.
It's super petty stuff too. Super petty stuff.
There's this one girl named Hillary. Hillary was a stellar student, made A's, never in any trouble. She set up a spoof MySpace page. I didn't even know they still had MySpace. She set up a spoof page mocking the assistant principal at her high school. And on the bottom of it, it clearly stated at the bottom that this is not a real page, this is a joke. Well, they arrested her. Her parents are in court with her. The prosecutor is recommending probation. Her parents expect her to be going home, and they see her led off in leg chains
Crazy.
and handcuffs over this. The judge sentenced her to 90 days in a juvenile facility because he was getting paid to sentence people to that private jail.
Right.
He and another judge had set this scheme up, and they had sentenced maybe 500 kids to this private prison over several years, and they had walked off with nearly $3 million themselves
Wow.
in kickbacks from this private prison. Now, these two judges have been arrested. They've been disbarred. Last I heard, they were still waiting to be sentenced. We'll have to check on that and see if they've been
Yeah,
sentenced.
I thought they've been sentenced and they were in jail.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I know that last I read, there had been no charges filed against anyone in the private prison system.
It's crazy.
People paying the bribes were just left alone.
Unbelievable.
Makes no sense at all.
Nope.
This was in Pennsylvania. Said the case has shocked this county in northern Pennsylvania that's been battered by a loss of industrial jobs and everything. Well, if you don't want to get shocked by what your public officials are doing, keep up with it.
Yeah.
I like to poke fun at the Waco Trib because I don't think they're much of a paper. But read it anyway, because that's about the only way you're going to find out what's going on down at the courthouse. Read it, listen to the news, make phone calls, write letters. You got to stay informed about what's going on. No judge should ever be making money off of the decisions they make over and above their salary.
Agreed.
Whether it's from a private prison or whether it's from an ankle monitoring, one of those ankle monitor companies. There are judges all over this state that are sitting on the boards and advisory committees of these companies getting these fees on the side that they should not be getting.
No.
It
No.
clouds the judgment. A judge, a lawyer, they've got a duty not just to don't do anything improper, but you're supposed to avoid even the appearance of impropriety.
Yeah.
Even if it appears improper, don't do it. So something needs to be done about this. We need to divest judges and prosecutors of any business interests they have that's a conflict of interest.
Agreed. And there
Otherwise, we're going to continue to see things like cash for kids, heads
Yes.
on beds.
Yep.
I tell you, I had to sue a private psychiatric facility one time down in Houston over heads on beds. I was one of the first lawyers to ever do that. That was back in the early 90s. They laughed at me when I brought that lawsuit. And I ended up settling that and getting my client $1 million.
Nice.
Yeah, because they were keeping his daughter locked up in this mental health facility, and then they'd let her out and it would just click along with the insurance. Let her out for a week, and then the insurance would kick back in. Then they'd lock her up for 4 weeks. Let her out for a
Wow.
week, the insurance would kick back in.
Right. They only cover so long of a stay. That's wild.
Yeah, and it was all it was all about divorce and visitation. So many of these things where companies come in and they take advantage of people. They take advantage of their suffering. They take advantage of their anger. Because in
Right.
some of these divorces, especially when there are children involved,
Oh, yeah.
And this was a woman who was accusing her husband of being a Satan worshiper, of flying his daughter to Mexico and spreading blood over her, and having sex with all kinds of crazy people in a jungle, and then flying her back. And there's no
Jeez.
truth to any of it. And these people at this psychiatric hospital, they were just all over it. They were all over it. And I
Jeez.
remember when it finally went to the grand jury, and the prosecutor asked the little girl, said, "Please tell the grand jury what happened. What'd your daddy do to you?" And
Mm.
she squinched up her face. This is on video. I got to see it. And she said, "Oh, ask mommy. She tells it better than I do."
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So he
Just
was not
weaponized children.
indicted. He was not indicted, and then I sued that private insurance company and settled it by putting right out $1 million in his pocket.
Good.
Yeah. And then the Attorney General of Texas, who was Dan Morales at that time, saw what I had done and followed suit and sued for the state of Texas against a whole bunch of those private hospitals, and got money back for the state of Texas that Texas had paid uh, for those heads on bed schemes.
Wow.
So stay on top of that, people.
Hmm.
You
Yep.
know, during this virus thing, when we're all having to work from home, people are still having car wrecks.
That's true.
We're
Is
still signing them up. We're still working cases that we have in the office. Some of the insurance companies, though, are trying to take advantage of this crisis, and they're stalling on payments,
oh yeah. Yep, we just got
stalling,
word of that.
yeah, stalling on depositions, stalling on mediation,
Hmm.
even though you can do a mediation online. There are
Via
companies
Zoom
set
or
up to do
Skype
that, or Skype.
or
Uh,
whatever flavor you like.
yeah, there are all kinds of companies that do online mediation. I got to give credit to USAA though, because USAA has said no, we're not going to do that, and they have hired a company to actually do mediations, and they're trying to push through as many as they can right now.
Right?
Now, I can understand why, because right now people need money.
Correct.
And right now, a lot of people might be willing to settle their car wreck case for less than they'd have been willing to settle it for 2 months ago when they had a job, when their rent was paid, when their pantry was full.
Right.
You know? And now they might have to decide, do I want money now so I can put food on the table? Or do I want to hold out and have that surgery that the doctor says I need? Or just keep limping and worry about that some other time and hope I get the money some other way?
Right.
That's the pathetic position that many people are finding themselves in today.
That's too true. Too true.
My heart goes out to them, but we're still pushing, and we've actually settled some fairly decent cases over the past 2 weeks.
Yes, we have a bunch of six-figure cases.
Hmm.
Definitely getting people compensated. We're definitely. It's just what you said. Some insurance companies are. We're starting to hear through the grapevine, through other attorneys, that they're just shutting down, saying, just dragging their feet on the settlements. But some of them are taking this as a huge opportunity. Let's get out of this thing cheap. It's kind of a cheaper than usual.
Now, here's something just awful that's going on with some of the insurance companies.
It's always
I think I
awful. It's
mentioned
always
this to you
interesting.
yesterday when we were talking on the phone. The movie Sophie's Choice. If you've never seen Sophie's Choice, man, it is a tearjerker. Meryl Streep, I think she might have won an Academy Award. It's one of those World War II concentration camp kind of movies where Hitler's killing everybody, and Sophie has to make a choice which of her children is going to live and which is going to die.
Hmm.
And it's really sad. Well, now the insurance companies, with people who've been hurt by car wrecks, and they need this medical attention and medical care, but the hospitals are saying, don't come in.
Hmm.
Don't come in.
Right.
It's too dangerous to come in. This can wait. You can suffer a little while longer, maybe in a month, maybe in 3 months, we can get you in for your physical
Yeah.
therapy or for this surgery or for these injections, spinal injections. And so now the insurance company is going, oh, well, then we're not going to pay for that because it's not medically it's medically unnecessary.
Right, right.
Because if it was medically necessary,
They would have done it right now.
getting it right now. Well, there's a difference between medically necessary and emergency. If there's
True.
an emergency, if they were bleeding to death, yeah, they'd go ahead and risk exposing them to the coronavirus in an emergency room in a hospital.
Right.
That's an emergency. That's a medical emergency. Uh, but things like physical therapy, spinal injections, a surgery that could be delayed, just because you don't have to have it right now does not mean that it's medically unnecessary.
Or frankly,
So
that you're in such a level of pain that you don't actually need it right now. We talk to a lot of clients. I mean, if you got herniations in your back and things like that, that is no walk in the park. I mean, these people are suffering every single day, every waking minute.
they're suffering. And now the insurance companies are saying, oh, well, but if you can wait 3 months, then that's a gap in treatment.
Yeah,
So
you must
we
not have needed
we
it.
don't
Yeah.
think you need that. We're not going to pay that. And that's just wrong. And
And
we're not going to put
unfortunately,
up for that. We'll take that case to trial.
what we're talking about, Vic, is actually the truth because we're starting to hear this from other lawyers in our industry are starting to be told this by insurance adjusters or attorneys from defense firms that this is the state of mind right now of insurance companies and insurance company defense lawyers. That this is what they're doing. It's not something we're creating out of nowhere. This is actually what's happening right now.
Yes, it is. And it's because we can't get to court. We can do everything in our law practice that we could do last month, except go to court. And
Right.
that's because the courts are closed. And they're only allowing emergency things in court. So we're doing the best we can to help our clients manage, to hold out. Uh, some cases we're settling if the client really needs the money right now. But on this medically unnecessary thing, oh
Yeah.
my God, there's going to be a backlash on that because they're going to be coming back about the time the courts are getting ready to open. Say, oh, well, now we want to pay. Now we'll pay. But they'll still be chintzing it.
Oh
They
yeah.
just can't help it. That's the way they are.
Well, let me ask you
I
this,
want to
Vic.
take them to trial.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So, what we've seen too is these insurance companies now are offering these great, we're going to take 20% off your bill for the next few months. Don't worry if you miss a payment for a month. And it almost makes it look like these insurance companies are doing wonderful things. Like that's great. They're giving me a break on my bill. If I can't pay it this month, they're going to cover it. They're going to give me a little cash back. But the truth is because there's so few people on the road, they're making just record profits right now, dude, and having to pay out next to nothing in claims.
They're making record profits and they're buying favor with the customers by flipping them a quarter at the same time they're stealing $100 out of their back pocket.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll flip you this quarter while I steal this $100 out of your back pocket.
It's just a little guilt payment back to the people because, and again, I mean, if you're not having people on the road, you're not having accidents.
I know.
Therefore, you're not paying claims. Therefore, but you're still taking everybody's premiums every month. So I mean, they're making just record profits. It's nuts. It's
And
crazy.
people that are in accidents that would normally go to the emergency room and then go to a chiropractor or go to physical therapy, they're foregoing the medical treatment because it's too dangerous.
Right.
And then the insurance company is saying, well, then you must not have been hurt, or you would have gone on and subjected yourself to exposure to the coronavirus.
Crazy.
Well, let's do a recap of April 16th, 1985. That's what we were talking about before. Oh, or do you have something you want to talk about before we go into that?
Yeah. So just quick shout out, Vic. One of our most wonderfulest people in Waco, Texas is MC Art Supplies. And when you ever order something from them, they actually throw a podcast sticker in with the order, which is super cool. So shout out to
Our
them.
podcast stickers.
Yes. How
Yeah,
cool is that?
those guys are great. And I love the letters MC because it reminds me of my friend MC Yogi.
There you go.
And our friends over at Pinewood Coffee Roasters.
All still rocking. And speaking of Pinewood Coffee Roasters, we have a shipment of their beans in. So head to vicfazell.com and order some Vic Feazell Show coffee because we are shipping and it is safe to order and it'll be shipped to you within a couple days. So that's what I got to say about that.
Good, man. Yeah, and order that coffee. You got a nice email from Jason Baldwin this week.
We did.
We did, thanking us for that $100 check that we sent to Jason,
Yeah.
his Proclaim Justice organization. Jason is part of the West Memphis Three. He's been on our show. If you haven't heard the interviews we did with Jason Baldwin, they're great. And
Hmm.
then, Jonathan, you actually videotaped those and edited the video
Yes, we got clips coming out on our YouTube channel.
coming out on YouTube.
We've already got one up there, but there's more coming.
Yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel because the content on the YouTube channel is really growing. And speaking of my friend MC Yogi, Jonathan, you did a great job on that video. It's
Oh, your
one of
arrest video.
my video. It's my arrest, and it shows them taking me out of the car, up into the courthouse, my office, then back out of my office to the FBI car, then to the federal courthouse, and then me coming out of the federal courthouse, and then the not guilty verdict at the federal courthouse in Austin. And the whole thing is set to MC Yogi's music, Breathe Deep, because, like it says in the intro slide, I've been practicing conscious breathing since I was 5 years old. I
Yeah.
discovered conscious breathing by accident, sort of as a game, when I
Ah,
was a kid playing by myself. And I learned the benefits of conscious breathing and how it could relax me and slow things down. And there's a line in one of MC Yogi's songs, learning to be still in the middle of it all.
yeah.
That's what it's about. And you can see in that arrest video how I was able to center and be still in the middle of it all and ended up controlling that situation and turning that into a high point in my life rather than into a low point.
Let me ask you real quick. When they first arrested you when you got out of the car that morning, what was your feeling? Was it like, all right, this finally happened? Or how did you feel? What was that feeling of like, oh God, the guillotine blade is finally dropped?
You know, it was almost a feeling of relief because they've been threatening to arrest me on a weekly basis since April of 1985.
Yeah.
So I was arrested in September of 86. So they've been threatening me for a year and a half.
Wow.
And so it was almost relief.
Yeah.
I had an idea that I was going to be arrested that day. Just a gut feeling. And you know how I am with gut feelings. That's why
Seen
we
it at work.
did the commercial. I just had a gut feeling we were going to need that commercial about you don't have to leave your home. And we made that in house. You and I made that commercial with Casey helping us some.
She was on the boom. She's
He's
doing
on the
the
board.
she's doing the gripping for that production.
And we did that just a few days before the lockdown, just sort of knowing that would come. So, and I had that same kind of gut feeling that day that I was going to be arrested. That's why I wore the suit and the red tie. I told my ex-wife when I left that day, I said, I think I'll wear something that goes well with chrome because I was expecting handcuffs. And when I pulled into my parking space at the courthouse, and thank you, Jack Harwell, for giving me my reserved parking space because I loved that parking space. And those cars just squealed in behind me and blocked me in. And the first thing I did was just went
Here we go.
5 in, 5 out. And then when they walked up, opened the door, I got out of the car. He was reaching for his handcuffs. And that's when I stuck my hands out like this and he cuffed me in the front. And that was
Right.
our first mistake because we've even got bumper stickers that show that those thumbs up with those handcuffs and the handcuffs breaking. And that became our battle cry.
We need to put those on the website. Our new line of vintage unofficial bumper stickers, which were all bumper stickers from back in the day. There were your Vic Feazell for district attorney bumper stickers, reissues. Then we have that one with the handcuffs on it. Super
They
cool.
were those are all real bumper sticker designs from the day back when I was DA. And we've reprinted them and we put the label on it, vintage unofficial, so nobody will get it confused with a political sticker. It's not. I'm not running for any political offices. Uh, and even the one that says
That
Vic Feazell for DA, that's one of our most popular ones. A lot of people want that one. But up in the top it says vintage unofficial because I'm not running for DA. What I'm putting forth is the idea, Vic Feazell. In other
the
words,
idea, the man,
yeah,
the myth, the legend.
do what's right, not what's easy. That's
Yeah,
what it means. Vic Feazell for DA. That's like, yeah, I'm Vic Feazell. You be Vic Feazell. We can all be Vic Feazell and stand up there no matter what the odds, no matter how many are coming against us, and stand up there and do what's right.
love it.
We have to do that all the time, every day. We have to be diligent all the time.
And especially now, especially now.
Uh, you were telling me that there's something new out about the West Memphis Three.
Yeah, so there's been a couple new series documentaries done on it. One is on oxygen, and I think the other one was investigation discovery. That's it. And yeah, they're just reopening this stuff. And what they want to do now is they want to dive deep into the DNA stuff again. And what we have now is we have new technology, and they call it it's called like vacuum DNA.
Yeah,
I can
vacuum.
tell you exactly what it is. It's called MVAC DNA. And basically what it is this stuff is significantly more efficient than our traditional DNA testing. So they said this is like between 30 and 200 times more efficient, depending on the surface or depending on how well the sample is held up. So back in the day, we used to have to get, sections of fiber off of clothing or hair samples and whatnot. This stuff is basically a little vacuum, and they can suck the DNA right off of stone, dirt, all sorts of stuff. It goes in, and they test it at like a way deeper level. And so, what we would like to see done now is we'd like them to release some of that DNA back so we can test it with the new technology, which would give us a significantly better, DNA sampling, and hopefully find who else was there at the scene.
Yeah. Now the main suspect though is going to do some shucking and jiving to try to get around that because he's the father of one of the dead boys.
That's
He's,
true.
he's the main suspect. He's the one who years later, even after Jason was released from prison, they found the hair that was
Right.
tied
And
up in one of the binds, the shoestrings, and it
right.
was in the knot. And that hair belonged to the dead boy's father.
Or
They're
stepfather.
going to find DNA on those clothes, but he's going to say, so what? I lived in the same house with him.
Yeah.
I think the hair inside the knot is the best evidence. It's his hair. It matches him, not just the follicle type, but the DNA. And it was in the knot,
Yeah.
tied into the knot that had been in the boy's shoes, the shoestrings taken out and used to tie him up, and somehow that hair gets in the knot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the odds of that happening without him being the perpetrator, I think, are really, really slim. Now, Jason is such a sweet guy, and he says he doesn't want to accuse anybody of that crime because he was accused of it and didn't do it. But I'm telling you, the evidence is pointing to that father. The difference here between the father and Jason and the other two was that there wasn't any evidence pointing at Jason.
Yeah. Zero. Zero DNA linked any of the three to the scene. No
No
DNA
DNA,
whatsoever.
no
You think
eyewitnesses,
you think one of them would have dropped a hair or something, but for all three of them to have no DNA at the scene, come on.
no DNA, no hair, no witnesses, no motive, and then to find out that those three defendants, they weren't even close with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, the poor Miss Kelly kid, he was just not that bright, and they twisted his arm and got him to confess and just come up with a couple names using the Reed technique.
Mhm.
And I tell you, since you and I talked about the Reed technique, and Listeners, if you haven't listened to our episode about the read technique, please go back and listen to it. It may save your life someday.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know when you might get pulled over and suddenly you're under the microscope and they're pulling all that bullshit on you. And you
Mm-hmm.
need to know how it works so you know that they're just BSing you. So go back and listen to our episodes about the read technique because it could save your life. But that's what they did to poor old Jesse Miskelly.
Yeah.
And that's his name, right? Jesse?
Yeah, that's it.
That's what they did to him. And because of that, then poor old Damien and Jason were caught up in it. And all
Mm-hmm.
three of them got convicted.
Crazy.
And they even put the death penalty on Damien.
Yeah.
Just because Damien looked different. He was
He was a goth before they were really goths.
a goth, yeah.
But anywho, so for our listeners, those are, if you want to continue down the path of the West Memphis 3 story, there's a couple great new things out on it, and I'd recommend it. And I will say this: in both of them, no one's pointing fingers back at those 3 kids, or now 3 adults. So I mean, even now, both of those things approach it as like, yeah, it wasn't these guys; they got the wrong guys.
Yeah.
Now let's actually figure out who did it.
Except for a few crazy stalkers on the internet, that's pretty much died down now.
Yeah, but you're always going to have those
Always got
nuts.
those trolls,
You always got the nuts.
nuts. They're just out there saying crazy crap just to try to provoke something. Yeah.
And for those people who are nuts, open your mind. See the truth. No matter how hurt you may be, if you are a family member of one of the victims or something, you just keep an open mind.
I know. That's
And,
what
and it's tough.
That's what I was always trying to say to the public during our Lucas investigation. Is please keep an open mind.
Yeah.
You want the real killer. You don't want a scapegoat. Don't you want to know who really killed your mother? Who
Yeah.
really killed your daughter? Who really killed your child? And the sheriff in Louisiana, I've told you about that case when I was representing Henry after I was DA.
Yeah.
And I had to go to Louisiana and talk with him and talk with the prosecutor. Henry had been arrested for killing that sheriff's daddy. And finally was able to show them and convince them that there was no way that Henry could have been in Florida during that time. No, he was already out in Montague by then.
God.
And don't you want the real killer? And they finally decided, yeah, we don't want just a scapegoat. I want to know who really did it. And I don't know if they ever really did find out who did it. That'd be a good one for us to look at sometime when we can get back to the office and go through our paperwork. Let's do that. Even though we've got all this online,
Yeah.
the paper files are still just easier for me.
You're a paper guy. You're a paper guy.
Yeah. We're pretty much a paperless office, except for our podcast and Lucas files and stuff like that. We've got those all secure online in the cloud, but we also have the paper copies with all the notes on it and things.
We actually got a review, Vic. You and I both got an email from a gentleman by the name of Dave Heather. And Dave emails and said, hey, he saw the Netflix series back in February, and he's been listening to the podcast ever since. And he actually said, he really hopes that we get the opportunity to track down some of these cold and closed cases. And I couldn't agree more, especially when it comes to Lucas stuff. I really hope we get that opportunity. This is a shout out to the Oxygen Network, who did a great article on you, Vic. It was like, where is Vic Feazell now after the Netflix documentary came out? Yeah. I think Oxygen would be great to pair up with to go solve some of these crimes that Lucas said he did.
It would be good. I would like that. Yeah, I'd like to look into the killing of that sheriff's daddy. I appreciated the way they handled that down in Florida. The one in Tyler, and remember, I found the letter from the DA. It's still laying on your desk at our office. From the DA in Tyler, where I presented Henry for his very first blood draw for DNA. And they finally found who killed that lady. And it wasn't Henry.
Surprise, surprise.
What? And it was somebody who had killed before. And 5 years later killed again. killed a lady in front of her children.
Crazy.
Yeah. So these are people that you can't just forget about, because once you've killed somebody, I think it's easier to do it the second time. And there's just too many murderers out there who got away with it because of the task force making these public statements about Henry
Hmm.
and letting Henry plead to those crimes.
Hi, I'm Vic Feazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Feazell, we understand. That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Feazell.